In fact, some of the best evidence that we have for the existence of Bigfoot comes from vocalizations recorded in the field. Most people, when they do it themselves, right, they're pretending to be a Bigfoot. Tonight is going to be different.
In recent weeks, Bryce Johnson's name has taken the internet by storm. The man who once laughed at wild conspiracy theories now finds himself at the center of one. What he uncovered is so shocking, so unsettling, that even his most loyal fans are struggling to believe it. What exactly did Bryce reveal? And why is the world talking about it non-stop? Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind Bryce Johnson's startling revelations. The vanishing footage. It began while filming a new season deep in the forests of Washington State, places famous for more Bigfoot sightings than anywhere else in North America. According to Bryce, the crew wasn't alone out there. From their first night in camp, strange things began happening. Heavy footsteps circled their tents, and branches snapped in patterns that seemed intentional. In the distance, low, guttural sounds echoed through the darkness. At first, Bryce assumed it was wildlife, but when the team reviewed their thermal footage the next morning, something stood out. Behind one of the crew members, a tall, upright figure appeared on screen, then vanished into the trees. It wasn't a bear. The shape was taller, slimmer, and moved in a precise, almost human way. Bryce demanded a frame-by-frame analysis, but by the next day, the footage was gone. The producers claimed the file was corrupted. Bryce didn't believe them. He began keeping private notes and recording audio logs, documenting what the cameras didn't show, flashing lights above the treetops, distorted whispers that mimicked their voices, and a strange feeling that something intelligent was watching. Bryce didn't realize it then, but that missing footage set off a chain of events that ended with him breaking his silence in a shocking confession. The turning point came during the third week of filming in the Olympic National Forest, an area long known for mysterious activity. One night, while checking the perimeter, cameraman Ethan caught something unusual on a thermal lens. At first, it looked like flickering heat signatures among the trees, but when he zoomed in, everyone froze. The figure was huge, around 8 feet tall, and it moved silently as it watched them. Ethan kept filming as the shape turned. Its edges flickered like static, as though part of its body wasn't completely solid. The creature moved forward, gliding more than walking. Then the feed broke and total blackout. Power cut off across every device they had. 20 minutes later, power returned and the footage appeared, barely intact. Bryce ordered an immediate backup, taking one copy on his laptop and giving the other to production. By morning, both copies were gone. The drives were wiped clean. Their technician confirmed the files had been manually erased at 3:12 a.m., right after the encounter. When Bryce confronted the producers, they blamed magnetic interference. But the lead cameraman mentioned something eerie. 2 unmarked vehicles had been seen parked near camp that same night. By sunrise, they had vanished. Days later, Bryce received a message from a private number. Attached was a single blurry image from that missing footage with 3 chilling words beneath it. "Stop showing this." From that moment, everything changed. Security tightened. New consultants appeared on site, and every memory card was carefully logged. Bryce grew paranoid, convinced someone was watching their every move. After that night, his skepticism broke. The calm, rational investigator everyone knew was gone. He began digging through files, GPS logs, and encrypted servers linked to Expedition Bigfoot. Then he found something buried deep in the system, a folder labeled Northwind Access. Inside were coordinates that didn't match any known filming site. They pointed to a region 40 miles north of their base camp, a place that didn't officially exist. Bryce checked the area on Google Earth, but the image blurred halfway through, as if the land had been censored. When he brought it up to the producers, they told him it was private federal property. Still, Bryce couldn't let it go. He later tracked down a former production assistant, Greg Hill, who revealed a secret. The team had once filmed there before, under military escort. Greg said a small off-record crew had been allowed to enter that restricted zone for one day. The reason? A strange thermal anomaly seen from satellites, something moving miles through dense forest overnight. The drones sent to track it had all failed, their batteries drained by powerful electromagnetic interference. It wasn't an animal, Greg told him. It was something bigger, something powerful. However, this was just the beginning of a disturbing revelation. What did Bryce eventually find out as he continued to dig up what others wanted buried? The missing man and the message in the woods. As Bryce Johnson dug deeper into the mystery behind Expedition Bigfoot, he began to suspect that the show had wandered into areas linked to secret government projects. The deeper he searched, the more he realized the team might have been trespassing into one of America's best-kept secrets. After uncovering the hidden coordinates, tension among the crew grew unbearable. Their excitement for discovery turned into fear. Conversations stopped whenever cameras rolled, and producers began screening all footage before anyone else could see it. Something was definitely wrong. Then came the night that changed everything. It was late November, near the end of filming in the fog-covered Olympic Peninsula. The crew had set up camp on a ridge overlooking a deep valley. Bryce, along with Ronnie LeBlanc and a small team, was preparing for night surveillance when they realized one of their drone operators, Chris Hayden, hadn't returned. He'd left just half an hour earlier to set up a new camera position, but his walkie-talkie had gone silent. At first, they thought it was another equipment glitch, until they checked his GPS tracker. Chris's signal flickered erratically, first a quarter-mile east of camp, then suddenly 4 miles north, before vanishing altogether. Alarmed, Bryce, Ronnie, and 2 others grabbed flashlights and headed out to search. When they reached the last known location, they found Chris's drone lying on the ground, still powered on, its rotors spinning slowly in the dirt. But Chris was gone. The only trace of him was his headset, snapped clean in two near a tree, as if crushed by something with tremendous force. The team searched for hours, shouting his name and firing flares into the night. By sunrise, there was still no sign of him. That morning, local authorities arrived, but these weren't local rangers. They were escorted by 2 men in black uniforms with no visible badges or names. The strangers refused to answer questions and ordered the Expedition Bigfoot crew to leave immediately. Later that afternoon, Bryce was handed a statement to read on camera. It claimed Chris had left the production due to a personal emergency. Bryce refused. He didn't just walk off, he said later. Something took him. Days afterward, all footage from that night vanished from the show's archives, replaced by random filler clips. Bryce saw the pattern clearly now. Every time they uncovered something real, it was erased. But this time, it wasn't just data that was erased, it was a person. Haunted and sleepless, Bryce became obsessed with finding the truth. The crew was now under constant watch by so-called network advisors, new faces with no clear role, no company IDs, and no names. They called it security. Bryce called it surveillance. One night, while combing through backup files, he found something strange hidden in the audio logs from the ridge. It was an odd, rhythmic static signal that repeated every few seconds. Slowed down, the noise revealed a pattern, tones arranged like a coded sequence. Bryce sent the clip to a trusted former sound engineer from Ancient Aliens. Hours later, he received an encrypted text. "You're not supposed to have this. It's a code, and it's human-made." The sound wasn't random. It was a set of coordinates hidden in the audio. When Bryce plotted them on a map, his stomach dropped. The points led to restricted land within Fort Lewis, Washington, a government testing site for experimental aircraft. Even more disturbing, the coordinates were just 12 meters from where Chris Hayden had disappeared. Seeking answers, Bryce contacted a private intelligence source. What he learned nearly made him walk away from the show for good. The encrypted tones weren't just coordinates. They were also part of a distress signal. It matched the format used in classified Black Ops communication systems, frequencies that shouldn't exist outside the military. The timestamp of the signal aligned perfectly with the moment Chris vanished. Someone or something had been trying to send a message. If it was a cry for help, why cover it up? Why lie about Chris's disappearance? The only explanation Bryce could imagine was that Expedition Bigfoot had stumbled into something deeply classified, something far beyond a creature in the woods. Then another anonymous message arrived on his phone. "You're getting too close, Johnson. Stop decoding what you don't understand." That was the final warning. Bryce Johnson didn't know it yet, but his nightmare had just begun. And after weeks of fear and sleepless nights, he finally decided to speak out. This time, not on camera. The final broadcast. Late one night, during a live stream meant to promote Expedition Bigfoot's new season, fans noticed something strange. Bryce Johnson didn't look like himself. His usual calm energy was gone. His smile looked forced, and his eyes kept darting off-screen as if he feared someone might burst in. Moments later, he cut the stream short, blaming a technical issue. But less than an hour later, an audio clip leaked online, allegedly a private conversation between Bryce and a close friend in production. In the recording, Bryce confessed he'd been warned to stop digging into the missing footage and secret coordinates. The warning didn't come from the network, it came from someone above that. When pressed, his voice turned to a whisper. "They told me I saw something I wasn't supposed to, and if I talk, I'll end up like Chris." The rest of the audio grew even darker. Bryce described how his hotel key stopped working, his phone battery drained overnight even when switched off, and how an unmarked black SUV had followed him from Los Angeles to Oregon. He thought it was paranoia until they sent him photos of myself from that night in the woods, shots his own team never filmed. The clip exploded online, spreading through Reddit and paranormal forums. Fans demanded answers, tagging Travel Channel and Discovery executives, but both networks stayed silent. Bryce then vanished from public view for nearly 2 weeks, skipping interviews and conventions. When he finally reappeared, he looked pale and sleepless. Refusing to talk about the leak, he only said, "There are things out there that aren't meant for TV, and some of them are watching us." What had started as entertainment was now a chilling warning. Still desperate for proof, Bryce gathered a small team of trusted former crew members and returned to the woods, this time near Mount Hood, Oregon. He wanted to see for himself what had been hidden. At first, everything seemed normal. Drones, motion sensors, cameras mounted to trees. But then their equipment began to fail. Compass needles spun backward, drone feeds froze mid-air, and strange sounds echoed through the forest no animal Bryce knew could make them. At 2:47 a.m., the thermal scanner caught something impossible. A towering figure moved on 2 legs, but its body temperature was below freezing. As the team approached, a deep hum filled the air, powerful enough to knock one cameraman to the ground. Then they heard it, an eerie, commanding voice from the trees, repeating a single phrase, "Do not return." The next morning, the team's equipment was wrecked. Camera lenses were cracked, memory cards melted, and tree bark near camp showed scorched circular burns, like heat marks from above. Back home, Bryce discovered one surviving file. The corrupted video, when stabilized, showed a faint shape hovering between the trees, the same tall outline seen in the show's pilot episode that vanished from archives years earlier. He finally had proof, but the price would be heavy. Within days, Bryce contacted a Travel Channel executive offering to hand over what he called the missing proof, a file showing evidence of something intelligent and non-human manipulating the Expedition Bigfoot crew. But before he could deliver it, the network pulled the plug. Offices were restructured, Contracts were under review, and then came the announcement. Expedition Bigfoot was entering an indefinite hiatus due to creative realignment. Fans were furious. Bryce wasn't surprised. He'd already been warned the shutdown came from higher up. That night, he went live on Instagram for 9 tense minutes. "They told us we were chasing folklore," he said. "We weren't. We were chasing something they already knew was real, something they wanted buried." Hours later, the video vanished. His account was locked, his posts erased, and his publicist claimed he was taking a mental health break. But leaked messages from crew group chats told a different story. By the next day, Expedition Bigfoot was gone from schedules. Reruns were pulled, interviews deleted, YouTube clips erased. To fans, it looked like censorship. To insiders, it was cleanup. Bryce's last private message to a colleague said it all. They didn't cancel the show because it failed. They canceled it because we found what they were afraid of. Days later, a strange upload appeared on a new account called Forest Signal 1977. The 37-second clip featured Bryce's voice, calm, almost defeated. "If you're hearing this, it means they got to me," he said. The footage wasn't fake. It was real. But it wasn't Bigfoot. Not exactly. It was something else. Something that's been here long before us. The video showed fragments of the Mount Hood recording. Night vision of a massive, shifting shadow between trees, followed by a flash of light and an ear-splitting sound. Then it cut to black. Within an hour, the upload disappeared, replaced by copyright claims from unknown sources. Bryce Johnson hasn't been seen publicly since. Neighbors near his Los Angeles home reported black SUVs days before it was emptied overnight. The network calls it a personal matter. But those who heard his final words believe he left a warning. He said there were others, and they were waiting. Now, only one question remains. Was Bryce silenced for what he discovered, or for daring to expose the truth? If the search had been going on for years before Bryce, why does the world remain in the dark? The footprints in the snow. It all started in February 1994. 11 soldiers led by a man named Miles began a routine training mission deep in Alaska's frozen wilderness. Their goal was simple: move through the area unseen and leave no trace. Equipped with skis, tents, and thick winter gear, the team felt ready for anything. They set out from near Fairbanks, pushing east past Eielson Air Force Base through steep hills, deep valleys, and thick forests. But as they entered one especially dense stretch of woods, the mission took a strange turn. To test whether the forest was passable, Miles and 2 others switched to snowshoes and ventured ahead. Moments later, they stopped in shock. There, imprinted in the snow, were enormous footprints, each about 18 to 19 inches long and spaced nearly 5 feet apart. Miles measured them to be sure. The prints were deep and sharply defined, as if made by something huge that walked effortlessly across the snow. To test it, one soldier tried walking the same path without snowshoes. He immediately sank to his knees, leaving clumsy marks in the snow. Whatever had made those prints hadn't struggled. It had glided smoothly over the surface. Their mission shifted from training to discovery. They called their sergeant, an expert tracker, to inspect the strange trail. His findings made the air grow tense. The prints showed clear toe marks, and based on the depth and spacing, he estimated the creature stood around 9 feet tall and weighed between 500 and 700 pounds. The team decided to follow the trail. The footprints led them through rough ridges and heavy forest, carefully avoiding open areas, as though the creature knew how to stay hidden. This behavior intrigued Miles. It seemed to be using the same stealth tactics soldiers were trained to master. The pursuit was slow. Snow fell thick and heavy, forcing them to switch between skis and snowshoes. By nightfall, exhausted and cold, the team set up camp under a silent, starless sky. The air was still, too still. Around 4 a.m., Miles woke to a deep, echoing howl rolling across the valley. It wasn't like any animal he'd ever heard. It was lower, stronger, more like a roar. The forest went silent again, but his instincts screamed that something was near. Then came a new sound, slow, heavy movement through the snow, stopping about 100 feet away from camp. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then, snap! Branches broke to the southeast. Something massive was pacing nearby. The team scrambled out of their tents, flashlights ready. The movement stopped. For a few long seconds, only the wind whispered through the trees. Then a sharp, bone-chilling scream tore through the air, echoing for several seconds before fading into silence. No one spoke. They scanned the forest with their lights, but found nothing. There was no sign of movement. They wanted to investigate, but they were too exposed, too unarmed, when a loud cracking sound ripped through the forest. Moments later, the sound of a tree being snapped in half. They made their decision. Whatever was out there was too close. They would leave at sunrise. At first light, the men packed their gear quickly. Before heading out, Miles and one soldier decided to check the area one last time. What they found turned their unease into dread. More massive footprints trailed through the snow, and nearby stood a pine tree broken clean in half, freshly splintered as though crushed by immense strength. It was undeniable. Something large and powerful had been close, watching them. When the team returned to base, they stayed silent. None of them filed a report or spoke of what they had seen. Fear of ridicule or worse, military investigation kept them quiet. But in their minds, one question remained. What kind of creature could move silently through the snow, avoid detection like a trained soldier, and snap trees in half without effort? For Miles and his team, that night in Alaska wasn't just a strange encounter. It was the start of a chilling mystery. What secrets would their investigation uncover? The map that confirmed the mystery. After discovering enormous footprints in the Alaskan wilderness, Miles and his team sought guidance from Anthony, a survival expert from northeastern Washington. Anthony had trained at the prestigious Fairchild Air Force Survival School, where he learned how to navigate harsh terrain using detailed topographical maps. These maps go beyond roads. They show terrain features, vegetation, and wildlife patterns. What caught Miles off guard was a surprising detail on one map, an illustration of Sasquatch, or Bigfoot. It appeared on an official survival map meant for serious use. The discovery made Miles pause. His team had just seen massive, unusual footprints that didn't match any known animal. Seeing Bigfoot illustrated on a survival tool made the experience even more intriguing. The footprints they had followed were extraordinary. 18 to 19 inches long, spaced far apart, and deeply pressed into the snow. They showed a creature moving with remarkable ease and stealth, almost gliding over terrain that would have slowed any normal animal. Nothing in the team's training explained the patterns or precision of the tracks. Seeing Bigfoot on a survival map led Miles to wonder if they had encountered something real, something unknown. Could it be the legendary creature that had appeared in stories and folklore for generations? The thought lingered. If they had continued following the tracks deeper into the forest, what might they have found? The encounter left a lasting impression on Miles and the team. It reminded them that no matter how much training or experience they had, the natural world still held secrets beyond their understanding. The footprints and the map together hinted at something extraordinary, something that had moved silently through the Alaskan wilderness long before humans arrived. Their experience didn't just document strange prints, it connected them to a legend that stretches across time. The team realized that some mysteries, no matter how unbelievable, might be closer to reality than anyone expects. The Alaskan wilderness had guarded its secret for generations, but for Miles and his team, the evidence was undeniable. Bigfoot wasn't just a legend. They had walked in the shadow of something enormous, something hidden in plain sight for centuries. But how did this elusive creature capture the imagination of the world in the first place? From myth to modern mystery. For decades, Bigfoot or Sasquatch has fascinated people across North America. Described as a tall, two-legged, hairy figure, this creature originates from Native American folklore. Indigenous stories spoke of a wild man or hairy giant living far from human settlements, moving silently through dense forests. These legends passed through generations long before Bigfoot entered popular culture. Bigfoot gained widespread attention in 1958 when construction worker Jerry Crew discovered enormous human-like footprints in Bluff Creek, California. The local newspaper covered the story and coined the name Bigfoot. Suddenly, the mysterious figure captured the public's imagination. Reports of sightings and similar tracks soon appeared across the continent, feeding fascination and speculation. Descriptions of Bigfoot vary, but most agree it is massive, often standing 6 to 15 feet tall, covered in dark hair, and leaving footprints up to 24 inches long. Witnesses frequently note a strong, unpleasant odor and describe the creature moving silently through the forest. Many also report strange sounds, high-pitched whistles, or eerie screams near areas where Bigfoot is sighted. One of the most famous pieces of evidence is the 1967 film by Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin, shot near Bluff Creek. The footage appears to show a large humanoid figure walking through the trees. While skeptics dismiss it as a hoax, others argue it could be proof of the creature's existence. This film has fueled decades of debate, keeping Bigfoot in the public eye. Bigfoot is more than folklore. It reflects humanity's fascination with the unknown and our connection to nature. Many Pacific Northwest tribes have their own versions of the Sasquatch story. For example, the Estes Ales people of Canada call it Saskets, meaning wild man. Historically, Bigfoot appeared as a fearsome, mysterious figure in horror films and adventure tales during the 1970s and 1980s. By the 1990s and 2000s, public perception shifted, turning the creature into a symbol of conservation and the untamed wilderness. Despite countless reports, including footprints, hair samples, and eyewitness accounts, mainstream science remains skeptical. Many attribute sightings to misidentified animals or elaborate hoaxes. Yet the legend persists. Experts like anthropologists Jeff Meldrum and Grover Krantz argue that some evidence warrants further investigation. Meldrum has studied footprint casts showing unique features, suggesting the possibility of an undiscovered species. Reports of strong odors, unusual tree formations, and even makeshift structures hint at behaviors beyond ordinary wildlife. Some researchers speculate Bigfoot may practice rudimentary burial, explaining why no remains have been found. In the Pacific Northwest, particularly in Oregon and Washington, Bigfoot has become a cultural icon. The creature symbolizes the mysterious, untamed spirit of the region. Some local communities have even passed laws to protect the legend. Bigfoot appears in documentaries, cartoons, and media coverage, keeping the story alive for new generations. While concrete proof remains elusive, the combination of folklore, ongoing sightings, and the symbolic connection to nature ensures Bigfoot endures as a source of fascination. The legend inspires curiosity and wonder about what might remain hidden in the wilderness. Though skeptics question its existence, the myth continues to capture imaginations. Bigfoot is just one of many unexplained phenomena in North America. Yet its enduring presence, through stories, evidence, and cultural significance, makes it one of the most captivating and mysterious figures of the natural world, encouraging generations to keep searching and questioning the unknown. Bigfoot isn't the only mysterious creature that has captured the world's imagination. Let's dive into another enigma that has remained unsolved for years: Scotland's enduring mystery. Alongside Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, known as Nessie, has captured imaginations for centuries. The creature is said to inhabit Scotland's Loch Ness and its story blends local folklore with centuries of reported sightings. The earliest known tale comes from the 6th century, when Saint Columba, an Irish monk, encountered a creature in the River Ness. According to legend, it was attacking a man, but when Columba commanded it to stop, the creature retreated, sparing the man. This account is considered the first recorded sighting of Nessie. Public fascination grew in the 20th century after a new road offered a clear view of the loch. In 1933, a local couple reported seeing a large creature in the water. Their story appeared in a local newspaper, sparking nationwide interest. Soon after, reports of sightings multiplied, prompting investigations into the existence of the mysterious animal. One of the most famous moments came in 1934, when London surgeon Robert Kenneth Wilson captured the surgeon's photograph. The image appeared to show a long neck rising from the water and quickly became iconic. Decades later, the photo was revealed as a hoax, yet the revelation did little to diminish public curiosity. Sightings continued, most describing a creature with a long neck and humps breaking the surface. Some theorists suggested it could be a surviving plesiosaur, an ancient marine reptile. However, scientists consider this unlikely given the loch's cold waters and geological history. Tourism around Loch Ness thrives on the legend, as visitors hope to glimpse the elusive creature. Nessie has become embedded in popular culture, appearing in books, documentaries, and media coverage. Despite decades of interest, no definitive proof has ever been found. Scientific efforts to solve the mystery have grown more advanced over time. In the 1960s, British universities used sonar to scan the loch's depths, detecting large, unidentified objects. While intriguing, the data was inconclusive. A 1975 expedition captured an image resembling a flipper, but it failed to convince skeptics. Many sightings may be explained by natural phenomena, such as waves caused by temperature shifts, floating logs, or even groups of swimming otters or seals. Hoaxes have also fueled the legend. In the 1930s, big game hunter Marmaduke Wetherill claimed to find large footprints near the loch, later revealed to be made from a hippopotamus foot. The surgeon's photograph, long considered evidence, was eventually exposed as a staged image using a toy submarine. Despite such debunking, the story endures. The Loch Ness Monster is more than folklore. Over the years, Nessie has become a symbol of Scotland itself, drawing tourists and researchers alike. Modern sightings continue to be reported, and the search persists. If Bigfoot and Nessie might be out there, what other secrets is our world hiding, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover them? When legends like these resist proof for centuries, how many more mysteries are still lurking, just beyond our reach? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.